It really was delicious to do it the way you set it up for us to be in that room, echoing what you said. It was once in a lifetime. I always think of the Holocaust. Obviously, what would I have done at that time, and to help Jews who were being unfairly persecuted, obviously. And I just go to that. I would hide Anne Frank and her family in my attic. I would do anything. I'd rather died helping than making the choice of going with the Nazis.
We think it can never happen again. It can happen next year. It's happening now. So I think, of us repeating history here in this country, it's really scary. That's why this movie reverberates for me in such a big way.
So I come from a long line of servicemen. There's several generations back is Air Force. So I've got family that served in World War I, in World War II, in Vietnam. And I think so many people so quickly, when they think about the end of World War II, it's like, it's suddenly like it's the sailor kissing the woman in Times Square, and it's like suburbia, and all of a sudden it's like everybody comes back from the war and they get married and they have 2.5 children and
a new car.
Yeah, and a new car, and it's the 50s and the highways are, but it's like really when you look back at it, when the war ended in 45, people were coming back just so broken and so shattered, and not just the young people who were coming back from the war, not just these 16, 17, 18-year-olds who were serving in the war, but the majors, the generals, the people who not only had served in World War II, but in World War I. And all of the characters in this film, although it's never directly stated, these are all people who were in both wars, and they are deeply, deeply broken because of that. And it really, I always think of something that my father had told me that he heard from other veterans when he was in the VA hospital. My father was in an accident in the early 70s and became a quadriplegic. And he was in the veterans hospital, and he would constantly hear people say, they were just like, you never leave behind what you experienced under no circumstances. It is completely impossible to ever leave that behind. You might be able to hide it. You might be able to turn into somebody else, but there's always going to be that shadow of what you saw, what you did with you forever. And that's really one of the main focuses of the film. It's as simple as it is the metaphoric ghosts of people's past. We always talk about the ghosts of my past, the ghosts of my past. This is about these characters actually being confronted with the literal ghosts of their past, and what one would do given those circumstances.
This is a film about our relationship to authority. My character is the colonel in the group, and he's expecting everyone to do his bidding, to deal with his own personal crisis and his own ghosts. And the whole movie revolves around everyone's relationship to his authority and whether they buy into it. And we slowly realize that his authority, see the picture, but and I think that's really essential as we deal with our current crisis of authoritarianism, and how we have these figures that people revere, and you realize, I think Ted is showing that, there's a whole reality behind those characters.
Yeah, I come from the theater. That was my first love. It still is my first love, is the theater. And, growing up in New York City and learning how to, do a piece from beginning to end, and having to find the nuances every time you perform something in a different way. And even though we obviously didn't have an audience, we, I think, did find those nuances in, going from the beginning to the end in a way, like together as an ensemble. And being able to play like that is very rare in film. to be able to create those relationships as you go and as you're, moving through time almost in real time.
I'd say it's such a rarity for this to happen, but it's more than a rarity. We were able to shoot the movie chronologically. So it was incredible to go day to day instead of going like, okay, where is my character going to be in a few days, or where is their character going to be in a few days? It was like, where were you yesterday when we finished shooting? I need you to be right back there in this moment. And we were able to move forward. And it was such a thrilling experience. And without saying too much, but when Christina's character appears in the film at kind of the end of the first act, it was exciting because Christina appeared on set. Like she was not on set prior to that. And it's such kind of a thrilling, exciting, unexpected experience to have those sort of vibes on a set. It really did feel like such a stage play.
It did feel like a play. It felt like we were in a 1-month run of the play. And we had a thing called mini holding, which was outside the set where we just go and sit in our little chairs. And it was like our green room. So it really felt like doing a play, and we got to live in the room. And I really did feel like I was in 1945, and we didn't have to work hard to do it. And an experience like that will never, ever happen again.
I was just going to go back to the other question, the first question in World War II, just because I am German. And I grew up in America, but my parents are German. And I think what one really does think about, obviously, is how not to let anything like that happen again, like the Holocaust, but also how difficult it is when you're, in war. There are no winners. There is nobody who comes out unscathed. And, my grandfather was a POW in America because he was just, on the fronts in Crete, and he was a doctor. So he would parachute in and try to save any soldiers that were, injured. And he was taken as a POW. So his experience, right, it was as a POW in America, which was it's not a story you hear of often, and obviously was horrible because there is where they saw the videos of what was happening in the concentration camps. And they didn't know before. And half of them committed suicide because they couldn't believe that that's what was happening and that was the war they were fighting. They thought they were fighting. I'm not saying this was a small one battalion or one, whatever you call it. But so you just think how horrible it's just horrifying for everybody, and horrifying. There's nobody that leaves. We should just, look at our past and learn and not listen blindly to anybody. Is really,
Which is what this film is sadly very much about, is listening blindly to people.
Yeah.